Hey, what up, everybody? This is Mr. View, and today we're going to be talking about the Soviet Union, the big bad, right? The country that we really had an issue with after World War II. They were the communists, we were the democracy. We hated each other a lot, and we were always on the brink of war. In fact, they call it the Cold War. Those were tensions after World War II between the Soviet Union and the United States. But we didn't really ever actually fight. Like, we didn't go full fledged war on each other. So, we're going to talk a little bit about the Soviet Union after World War II. So, the Soviet Union was really Russia and their satellites or their colonies. And the Soviet Union was this, or the Russia was a big country, right? And then they had a lot of different little countries, and all together they made up the Soviet Union. And so, Russia and their satellites were the communists, and they kept expanding. They kept expanding their influence, adding communist countries. And then we saw that as a huge threat because we wanted countries that were democratic, that saw things like us and we could ally ourselves to. Stalin dies in 1953. Remember Joseph Jugashvili, aka Stalin, the man of steel, right? He had those purges in Russia, and we talked about him killing more people even than Hitler. 4 to 20 million people alone in a purge, and we didn't know the exact numbers because they didn't keep records. But he also had the collectivism that starved people to death, and he was a terrible paranoid leader and one of the worst mass murderers of all time. But he dies in 1953 as he's planning another purge. Lucky for Russia, I guess. A guy named Nikita Khrushchev took over after Stalin in the Soviet Union. He eased censorship, he frees some political prisoners, and he keeps on with communism. So he lightens up a little bit, but he keeps communism. And they do have some successes, especially in the space race. In 1957, they launched the Sputnik 1, which was the first satellite to ever orbit the Earth. And man, did the United States get upset about that. We didn't like them beating us to space. And in 1961, they had the first man orbit the Earth. What? Not the United States? Not us? They can't be better than us. But they were at that point, right? We got to the moon first. They had low unemployment, they had low cost housing, they had free healthcare, and they had free daycare. So a few perks over in communist Russia, if you will. However, the people weren't all that happy. They had this free stuff, but they had horrible products. And the Soviet Union was not prosperous. They had low output and they had long lines for stuff like at the stores. They did not have choices. And there was still a lot of censorship in Russia. The problem with being guaranteed an income is you can turn out crappy stuff, right? So their products sucked and they would frequently break down, but the workers didn't care. They were getting paid no matter what. And so I'm not going to work very hard if I'm getting paid the same as this chump who's not working very hard. So there was no incentive to work hard. You weren't going to become rich. They churned out bad products as a result. And that really hurt their economy because nobody in the world wanted their products. We weren't going to buy a Soviet um, machine gun or a washing machine or anything else because they sucked. They would break down. They were not good products. The United States had a lot of different conflicts with the Soviet Union. Number one, in Korea, there was a Korean War, right? They supported the North, we supported the South in that battle. Same thing in Vietnam. We supported the South, they supported the North. We did not like them building the Berlin Wall. There was conflict there. There was the Cuban Missile Crisis that played out where Russia wanted to put missiles in Cuba and aim them kind of towards the United States. And we said, you're not getting that close. And so it was a stalemate right there. And we basically said, if you come here, we're going to kill everybody. And so they did. They backed off in the Cuban Missile Crisis. There was a huge arms race with nuclear weapons. Even though we tried to get nuclear agreements, and we did so, we still built up our military to a huge war machine, and so did they. And we've already talked about how the space race was playing out, right? The Soviet Union led early on, and since then we sent a guy to the moon and everything that we've done since. So we'll get into more of that later, but I want you to watch 4-minute video on the space race, and your assignment is going to be just to write down 5 details from that video. All right, have a great day.